I'm back here with Rosalyn Masterson. We're going to do a summary of chapter 1 in her book, The Storm is Over, called 2848 Race Street. Rosalyn, thanks for being here with us today. So, my first question is, why did you create the chapter 2848 Race Street?
The chapter is created because that's where everything began. I really don't have really a lot of recognition of any other address but that address. And that was also where my grandpa lived, and it was like my mother's parents' home. And so pretty much that's where the pain, the growth, the change, and the realization, that's where everything happened. But that was like from the baby steps to the stir steps to the mature steps, elementary school, junior high school. Well, I really can't tell you about high school because I think I got to the 10th grade and I just stopped. Well, that's the truth, I did. But that's where everything happened, just the life, just life. And all of my learning experiences of the pain and the discomfort of the people that was also in that house. But I'm talking about Rosalyn. So Ray Street was where it all happened.
How long did you live at 2848 Race Street?
On again, off again, like I said, until the house was sold in 1982. Yes, so that's what happened because at that time, and I had just said this to a relative of mine, it was like the homestead. But when they took my elderly grandmother out of her home, we didn't have no choice but to get up and go. So I was on there, off there, Although in between I did have my apartments, but I've always wound up back there because, where else was I going? And especially with a young son because I didn't have my daughter then.
Tell me your fondest memory about 2848 Race Street. Is there one?
Well, I only get to tell you one. Oh, goodness. My fondest memory is my grandfather rocking me on his knee, legs, and calling me ham hock. And he had this rocking chair, and it's just this big old burly man. Yeah, but that was way younger. Way younger.
Mm-hmm.
And this was before the him going to the store and not coming back. But that's the most fondest memory because he would tell us stories.
And in the preceding chapters, we're going to learn more about Big Daddy, who was your grandfather.
Exactly.
Who is part of that fondest memory.
Yes.
So,
safety.
Rosalyn, tell us your worst memory about 2848 Race Street.
The violence, the rejections, the lying on. Just the physical abuse, meaning, the whoopings and one-sided stories and everybody just piling up against me. And so, I was like the scapegoat. Well, I was the scapegoat. So it was just a horror, and especially getting whooped with an extension cord and being between, before my grandfather died, he built a back porch. On that back porch, he put a bathroom in there, and which was just a sink and a toilet. And one day, my mother come to attack me, her and my oldest brother. And like she had me between that toilet and that sink. And he was holding me down while she was whooping me in this little ass bathroom. You know the size of a bathroom. Nowadays they large, but really just small stuff, and that was just so horrible, in that cold back porch. So that was just the worst. And I had to have been 12, 13, might have been older than that, but yes, that.
Why did the house on 2848 Race Street change so significantly after Big Daddy died?
Because I went from being a little girl again, my perspective, to a Cinderella. My grandfather was my protector. My grandfather, I believe in what I'm saying right now is by it all being three girls and we were all about like stair steps, the same ages, but I was the one that would have to do their chores. And then when Nanny or Mama would come after me, I would hide behind him and he would say no. Because even he would see that it was something was wrong with that picture, and he would always call my grandmother Clara May. Now, Clara May, that's not right, and it was just that they did not get away with the stuff when he was alive as they did when he died, and talking about the pain when my Big Daddy died. So that was it.
Did you know intuitively that things were going to change when he died at that young age?
No, because I had these fake promises about my dad getting out of prison and that we were going to be a family. And, intuitively, no. You go with what goes on in front of you. So, no, I had no idea. I had no idea. But I just knew if my daddy get out of prison, then we could move together and we'd have our own apartment, our own place to live. But it wasn't better. It never was the way that I had wanted it to be.
Is the house still there today as we speak?
Is it? Yes, it is, and including the trees that my grandpa planted. Of course that house is there. Yes, ma'am, it is.
Why did you mention in your book that one day you would like to buy that house back with all of those negative memories?
You know what? The same lady, my ghostwriter, she asked me the same darn question. Because of all of the stuff that went on in that house represents my grandfather, that house represents just life. It represents African American, it represents the community from which, in the neighborhood, that's where it's at. But it was just something about that house because it was home. I didn't know much about my father's side of the family. It's just my mother's side. And it's a huge house. It's a huge house. It's a brick house. It's a beautiful house. With a long porch, with an awning. So yes, and a yard. Front and backyard. And a basement.
So, do you ever think you will own 2848 Race Street?
Well, I'm going to tell you again, it ain't no doubt in my mind. Of course I will. You know why? Because God has told me that. Of course I'm going to own that house again. And it's going to be my house, and then I'm going to give it to my daughter and her 3 sons.
If you did own the home, what would you do with it?
I would live in it. First, just me and my dog. I am going to get me a dog. And then it would have a place for my immediate family, which is my daughter and my grandchildren to be, and to have functions and do whatever, have friends over. So, yes.
Well, Rosalyn, I want to thank you for giving us a summary on your Chapter 1, 2848 Race Street. And I know that there's much more inside that chapter, but you gave us a really good understanding of the background of that home and where you started and where your journey has started. And so I look forward to talking to you in the next week on Chapter 2. And with that, thank you for being here.
Thank you.